Greetings, it is I, ShepherdShang. And hey, if you can't tell from the title, I've played Dragon Quest XI. Yeah! Alright, so Dragon Quest XI came out in America last year, it currently being 2019, so it came out in 2018. I did not buy it, because I did not have the money. Which is unfortunate, because I really like the Dragon Quest series. But I had some money, so I bought it for a copy for the PlayStation 4. I really liked it. Yeah, let's start out with that. If you like the Dragon Quest series, and you have a console that can play it, I recommend it. That being said, there are it has problems, of course. There's no such thing as a perfect game. I also have only played the PS4 version. Apparently, I knew that one of the features for this game was that you can sort of toggle between how you view the game. Like, there's the 3D version of the game where your 3D characters are walking around in a 3D world, and there's a 2D version of the game where you're like little 2D sprites moving around on a 2D planes in the way the old Dragon Quest games did. That apparently is not a feature of the PlayStation 4 version. Unfortunate. Yeah, it's not a feature there. Had to do a quick edit. And apparently there has a version... There has been a version that has come out for the Switch, which again features different features. Again, I don't know what those are. I don't own a Switch. So I don't have that version. But yeah, so, overall thoughts. It's a good game. Much, much, much better than Dragon Quest IX. If you've ever actually listened to the reviews I did of Dragon Quest VII for the 3DS and Dragon Quest VIII for the 3DS, you should know my opinion on the Dragon Quest series overall. Dragon Quest IX sucked. Dragon Quest X did not come out in America, and Dragon Quest VIII did not age well. At all. I've played all of the mainline games. I really like Dragon Quest XI. It was very nice. On the PlayStation 4, it looked so nice. Like, your clothing had texture. That's a really nice little feature, and it's not just your clothing, which is something I should specify after that crap show that was Dragon Quest VIII on the 3DS. All the clothing in this game had texture. Even the enemies, their clothing had texture. Again, this looked really nice on the PlayStation 4. I don't know how it would look on the 3DS or the Switch, because again, I don't have those, and computers and whatnot with capture cards and whatnot, even if I was watching them on YouTube or something, I still probably wouldn't really be able to get as much detail as I can playing it myself. So overall, let's talk about a lot of the good points. Where to start? Again, it looks good. It uses the Unreal Engine, apparently. I didn't know that starting out. I saw it in the credits. By the way, I have not done every single thing in the game. I've just finished the final boss. They got the credits to roll and whatnot. I'll get to that in a bit. That's definitely something to talk about. Overall, the story has been nice. Again, odd choices for translations. Just fucking call it the Demon Lord. Seriously. Lord of Shadows. Oh, you're the Luminary. That's like... Not like that hasn't been used for different things in the English translations of Dragon Quest games. So it's not like that's slightly confusing or anything. Anyway, trying to talk about positives. Stair physics! There's a little random one. Some of the people I've paid attention to over the years in video games have talked about just how small things can contribute to the overall look of a game. One of the things they constantly praise is stair physics. When you have a 3D character that's moving around in a 3D world, they have walking or running animations. And when you have stairs, in real life, the way you go upstairs is different from the way you move along on a flat surface or even an inclined surface. So when games actually take the time to have your characters move their feet go up the stairs rather than just a continued walking or running motion. It looks very nice. And this game has that. It was very pleasing to see. Again, as always, Dragon Quest music is fantastic. I love Akira Toriyama's character designs. Love the monsters and whatnot. Voice acting, I think, was much better than... well, I say much better. There isn't really a good basis of comparison for that. Because the only other Dragon Quest game that has been voiced is Dragon Quest VIII. And that was only in the... Well, I say only. It was not in the Japanese version. The original Japanese version of Dragon Quest VIII did not have voices. The American version, or American English, I should say, because it was recorded over in the UK, did. And it was perfectly fine. Yeah, again, there's not a good basis of comparison. I think the voice acting was, for the most part, was very nice. The game run really well. I have almost no frame rate issues at all. There was literally only a couple of places, and it was super noticeable because of just how little frame rate problems there were otherwise. The loading times. Oh yeah, that was an interesting one. Oh, there's a loading screen. It's got a little loading bar. Oh, I wonder how long this is... Oh, it's done. The loading bar never went the entire way across the screen. It was like, oh, there's like a tenth of the way done. Oh, it's done now. That was so nice too. And overall loading, yeah, that's something to talk about. Again, older versions of games on different systems. The PS4 is a much stronger system than the PlayStation 2 or the 3DS or the DS was. So when you go into areas, you have large, completely loaded areas. In older games, if you walk into a house, it has to load in the interior of that house. Anytime you go from one area to another, it would have to load a new area. Not in this game. In this game, we went into large areas. Oh, I'll open a door. I wonder how long this is going to take. Oh, I'm just there. No loading time at all. That's a very nice change. I already talked about character designs and stuff. The story was... I liked it. It's a Dragon Quest story. If you've never played Dragon Quest games, the target audience is young boys. If you follow anime and stuff, you'd be familiar with the term shonen. Shonen, I'm probably not pronouncing that right. Basically, it means young boys. Basically, ages 8 to 14, roughly. Yeah, the Dragon Quest series is a shonen series. So the plot is generally relatively simplistic. I literally saw every plot twist coming. I remember there was one point in an area called Octagonia. Oh hey, this character seems fun. I like this guy. Oh shit, he's gonna be evil, isn't he? Oh shit, I don't want him to be evil. He was evil. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, all the plot, it was also very simple, all simplistic stuff. The characters were great overall. Sylvando is such a fantastic freaking character. I love him so much. Just play the game, you find out why. He's just so good. Again, there were also lots of interesting stuff with this. Maybe move on to some of the questionable and not so good stuff. Again, plot. I like the plot, it's simplistic. I do feel like there were some odd choices, but again, they was overall pretty good. Let's see, what else would I say? Well, there's the typical English translation stuff, but it doesn't have the dignity the Enix of America gave the series. That's still true, unfortunately. But then again, it was a kid's game, lots of humor. This game did feel much more Toriyama than previous games did. If you get what I mean. Akira Toriyama, again, he was the creator of the Dragon Ball series, has a very distinctive art style. He did the art for all the Dragon Quest games. Um, this time it felt like he did a lot more of the overall world design, I guess, um, than in some of the previous games. Or maybe it's just more visible. Yeah, because Dragon Quest 8 had lots of limitations. Dragon Quest 9 just ass. Um, and the previous games were all two-dimensional and didn't really get a lot of his art. Um, yeah, well, if it wasn't for stuff like Player's Guide and being able to see some of the official art Akira Toriyama created for the older games, you'd probably never even realize he was associated with the games. Uh, yeah, like without the official art, it would have been super subtle, pretty much. I didn't even realize Akira Toriyama. Um, well, back in when I was like 12, I was seeing some of the official art for some of the older Dragon Quest games. I was thinking, wow, this looks a lot like Dragon Ball. I wonder why. Like, this character even has something similar, even looks a lot like the character Piccolo. I wonder what's up with that. And then Dragon Quest 8 came out, and by that time I was a bit more familiar with manga and stuff, and knew the name Akira Toriyama. I was thinking, wow, this character Angelo looks so much like Trunks. It's weird. Oh, it's because they're the same artist. Um, I don't know. I'm very scatterbrained with all this stuff. There's lots of stuff that people have already said. Why don't we just go into the stuff that I personally don't like? Well, the questionable stuff. Yeah, there was actually very little in this that I just flat out didn't like. So far, the only thing I didn't really like was the flying system. So, every Dragon Quest game since Dragon Quest 3 has given you an overworld movement ability that involves flying. And while I don't really remember Dragon Quest 3 very well, I would say that this is the worst version of it. Because it's super limited. And it's just really unfortunate. But I think that's kind of the only thing I really didn't like. Everything else I just felt was a little mediocre. Like, the pacing of this game was strange. A lot of the times it felt really fast-paced, but it actually took me 82 hours to beat the game. And I was not spending any significant amount of time grinding like you had to do in the older games because, again, the way they changed random encounters. So yeah, this game uses the instanced encounters rather than random encounters like Dragon Quest 9 did, which was pretty much the only good thing about Dragon Quest 9, and the remake of Dragon Quest 7 and the shitty re-release of Dragon Quest 8. So yeah, that was nice. Again, dynamic battle crack ones was also very nice. But yeah, the pacing was very strange. Like, I looked a bunch of stuff up online because I'd like to have some idea of what the heck is going on. Like, I was very confused about why I hadn't gotten certain things that were really obvious yet, like an item called the Magic Key. You get that a lot later in the game than I would have expected to have gotten it. I still haven't gotten the Ultimate Key. There was no version of the Thief's Key in this. But yeah, the pacing is weird. I did not spend any significant amount of time grinding. I spent like maybe the equivalent of a couple of hours exploring, I guess. Going to unnecessary areas. Areas that were not directly impacting the overall game. And again, they've definitely set it up in a strange way. Like, one of the things I encountered when I mentioned spoilers, like, oh, there's a part 1 of the game, and there's a part 2 of the game, and, oh, spoilers, there's a post-game. Not that it's really spoilers, since there's been a post-game in the Dragon Quest series in every single game since Dragon Quest 3, so it's not a huge spoilers. But what's so spoiled me is that, they've really set up the post-game to be really big. Like, even without looking stuff up on the internet, it's just, there's a lot of setup. You can go around, one of the things that happens in the game, you go around, like, one of the things, You can look on bookcases, and they'll give you special books. I encountered books that had titles like Yi Drustani, Secrets of Yi Magic, or whatever the heck it was. There were like 10 of those. But each time you read them, you got the response, "You don't understand this yet." What do you mean, yet? Yeah, and there was like 10 of them. Yeah, apparently that has something to do with the post-game. And you can find them within like the first 3 hours of gameplay. Just odd stuff like that. There was a lot of setup. I'm super off topic. I've definitely forgotten a lot of the stuff I wanted to say with this. Aside from the fact that overall it's pretty good. Oh, I was disappointed with the ending. Yeah, the final boss, beating the final boss, what happens afterwards, was satisfying yet disappointing. Like, it's what I expected, but it was also disappointing. Simply because there was so little that was resolved. There's still lots of loose plot points. Like, again, one of the things you encounter in this game are these little sort of ghost-looking things. They're tiny little things. They have big eyes. They're little blobs with arms that walk around. They're blue. They disappear when you get close, and no one else can see them. They never get acknowledged in the game until almost at the end, when it's revealed that the hero, you, can see them, but other people can't. It was never brought up before. It's never talked about again because your character is the silent protagonist. And your character apparently doesn't talk to anyone about it. Even though it was kind of a big deal about what was happening at the time in the story. He just doesn't tell anyone. Yeah, it never gets brought up. There was literally something about it in the very opening cutscene of the game. Apparently it's something in the post-game, and something that may or may not even be in the PS4 version. Because when I actually tried looking it up on the internet, people said, oh yeah, there's something in the 3DS version. But they specifically said the 3DS version for it, not the PS4 version, so I don't know yet. Because again, I haven't started the post-game. I wanted to talk about this first. Maybe my opinions on all this stuff will be different after I play the post-game. But I kind of doubt that, simply because it's overall really good. Yeah, like, the mounts, that was nice. Right, that was something I wanted to talk about. Overworld movement and pacing. One of the problems Dragon Quest VIII had was that it took frickin' forever to get anywhere. Because it was a big open world. You were a big 3D open world, and you could only move at one speed. And that was annoying, because when you were in cities and dungeons and stuff in Dragon Quest VIII, you could run, which we were moving at twice the normal walking speed, basically. But you couldn't do that in the overworld. So, like, that added like 10 hours to the game in Dragon Quest VIII, was just moving from one place to another, because it took for frickin' ever. This game did not have that problem. You could walk in the overworld in this game, you could run in the overworld in this game, and you also had access to mounts. In the very beginning of the story, you get a horse, which there are various places in the game where you can just magically summon the horse, and you can ride around on the horse. And you can also make the horse run, which makes it go even faster than it normally does. And it even lets you skip combat encounters if you come into contact with the enemies that are wandering around. When you're charging on the horse, you run over the enemies, which is really funny. And there are different types of mounts in the game that add different things. Like, you can... Some of them are kind of lame. Basically, you get access to mounts by beating special enemies, and they leave a mount behind, which gives you special types of movements. Like, one of them is lets you crawl up walls. One of them lets you jump really high to get on top of ledges. One of them is just straight up flying, which is nice, which doesn't happen until the post-game, unfortunately. And one of them is just another horse. That isn't as fast as your normal horse. One thing I would have liked was more of that, basically. Like, if you could reuse mounts in some way, like being able to access more than just the horse from the special hitching posts, they were called. And I've just remembered another little gripe I had with this game. Underused mechanics. So, one of the things that gets introduced to you early on is when you're moving around, you get special types of movements. I very quickly discovered that you can actually jump in this game. There's a button dedicated to jumping. So you can jump up on top of things, you can jump over fences, you can jump onto special ledges and stuff to do movement. Which is really nice, because that's something that you would be able to do in a 3D world. And special underused mechanics. One of the things you encounter are ledges that are too high for you to jump up, so character jumps up, grabs onto the ledge, and pulls himself up. That's good. Yeah, that's a good mechanic for 3D movement in a 3D world. Another thing you encounter is basically walking along ropes, like a tightrope. Not exactly super realistic, for one primary reason. While it may work thematically in the world, like you're in a city, there are things hanging around and stuff, and you can tightrope across them. I guess you could try to do that in real life, but there is no way to fail doing it. Like, once you get onto the tight ropes or whatever, there is no way to fall off. There is absolutely no consequence to you using this. So what was the point in doing it? Again, it works thematically, and that's okay, but it doesn't show up very often. And on a similar note was narrow ledges. Again, lots of things you can encounter in 3D games, like action platformers. Movement along narrow ledges. You have to stick close to the wall and stuff and move slower. And that's something that's in this game. And it serves absolutely no purpose, because just like with the tight ropes, there is absolutely no consequence to it. Yeah, when you're in dungeons and stuff, monsters can't even attack you while you're on them. There is no way to fall off. There is no consequence at all to it. It literally just slows you down by a few seconds. And that's it. So what was the point in doing it? Again, thematics, but still, it's boring mechanic that does not show up very often. Yeah. Again, I think it's all just lots of little things that I felt that was wrong with this game. Again, overall, it was very good. Yeah, I would absolutely recommend this if you like the Dragon Quest series. If you don't like the Dragon Quest series, why the fuck are you even watching this? Listening, I should say. Listening to this. Oh boy. Yeah, again, I think overall the biggest problem I had with this game was the pacing. The pacing is weird. A lot of, even Dragon Quest VIII, which sort of dragged on because of movement and stuff, it was still a shorter game than this. Again, I didn't spend any significant amount of time grinding, yet it still took me over 80 hours to get to the final boss and the credits. Even when I spent a lot of time grinding, Dragon Warrior 7 on the PlayStation 1, which had lots of random encounters, and if you were playing it right, had a good bit of grinding, still doesn't really take me more than 60 hours on average, even with grinding. This game, the pacing is so weird. And again, I just keep remembering things I want to talk about. So this game was easy. I don't like easy games, especially in the Dragon Quest series. Part of the reason Dragon Quest IX sucked so much ass was because of just how easy it was. The Dragon Quest games were difficult compared to the Final Fantasy games. In case you're very young, the Final Fantasy series was created by a company called Squaresoft. Dragon Quest series was created by a company called Enix. The Dragon Quest series is older than the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy is more popular outside of Japan than Dragon Quest ever was. There was some type of financial stuff going on in the early 2000s with Enix and Squaresoft. I don't know the full story, but basically, Squaresoft bought out Enix, and now they're called Square Enix. And they eventually created Dragon Quest VIII, which, while fun, again, it didn't age well, was also a good bit easier than Dragon Quest VII was. Dragon Quest IX was embarrassingly easy, and this game was not embarrassingly easy, but it was easy. And apparently, enough people agreed with me that the development team for Dragon Quest XI created something that in I keep saying American. In English, it's called the Draconian Settings. Basically, you have the option of giving yourself handicaps. At any time. You could also turn them off at any time. Things like making the enemies harder, making it so you can't buy things, making it so you can only heal in certain places. And I really appreciate that, even though I haven't used them yet. So yeah, apparently there were enough people that felt that the Dragon Quest games have become too easy, and the development team created a solution for that, in that you can give yourself the option of a harder game. I haven't used it yet because I wanted to do the first playthrough with just the normal stuff, and I'll probably do then my next playthrough with some of those settings on. I haven't really tested them out yet, but I really, really like that. Because again, part of the things I found appealing about Dragon Quest games versus Final Fantasy was how much harder the Dragon Quest games were. Like, I talked about it in the my Dragon Quest VII review for 3DS. Before playing that game, I had only ever gotten a character to level 99, the maximum level, once. And I still have no idea how I had done it. And I think that might have been a part of a game mechanic in Dragon Quest III. But literally spending over 100 hours in games on these things, I had never managed it before. And the only way I did it in Dragon Quest VII was because of the glitched internet stuff that they did for the 3DS. I haven't gotten to level 99 yet, but I'm over level 50 in Dragon Quest XI. So again, that's something that used to be very difficult. So much easier in this game. But yeah, I think at this point, I've almost been recording for half an hour. Some of the stuff's got to get edited out. But yeah, overall, this is really good. It's been occupying a good bit of my time lately. I'm very glad I bought it. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Again, if you like the Dragon Quest series, this would be a good place to start. Or if you've never played it again, wow. Oh yeah, if you like the Dragon Quest series, this would be a great place to start playing the Dragon Quest series, because that makes sense. Oh dear. If you've never played the Dragon Quest series, this would be a good place to start, because this is quite good. If you like the Dragon Quest series, you should definitely play this if you haven't yet. That's what I was trying to say. Ah, jeez. Okay. Enough of my rambling. I am ShepherdShang. Dragon Quest XI was good. Goodbye. Goodbye.